There it is. Okay. Welcome, everybody, to the Rising Star Podcast. Let's introduce ourselves. I'm Kelsey. We got Joey G. And we have on our third episode, the Stepdads. Yay! Round of applause.
See, that's not the Rad Dad. That's a new member of the Stepdads, guest 528BA75A8888 4EBD 8SF06FC6DFE 280.
I love it.
Long name. I don't know how. Imagine that popping up on the TV. It would like go off screen.
Yeah, considering all this time later, most promoters can't get Kruger right. I don't think they're gonna do well with that one, Brad.
All right, but maybe I'll change it someday. The funniest part about this whole thing is that, like, I had the Stepdads on my original podcast, the Sign Rip podcast, on episode 3, and because of a little miscommunication error yesterday, now I've got the Stepdads on the Stepdads. I got the Stepdads on.
I'm glad we could come on. It was nice seeing you. All right. Well.
Oh God. Well, at least got the flannel pants.
Oh, so then we match. I got flannels on too.
I also have flannels on, but I can't show them to you because they are undergarments.
Sure they are. Sure you got pants on.
But I also had you guys. This is the third you're on the third episode of the Rising Star podcast, just like you were on the third episode of the Sign Rip podcast. So it's really crazy that it's like a
maybe a third time's the charm.
Well, it's because third is the one with the hairy chest, so that makes sense.
I do have a hairy chest, so
same.
So first things first, obviously, guys, for those who've never seen you, introduce yourselves on the Rising Star podcast.
Oh my goodness!
You handle this one, guest 528.
So as you know, I am guest 528, also known as the Rad Dad, Radley Belmont, alongside my tag team partner and best friend, the Papa Bear Wade Kruger. Together, we are the sitcom tag team known as the Stepdads, bringing parental guidance to a wrestling promotion near you.
We're probably not at this rate with how much we've been wrestling in 2022, but we'll try.
Oh, don't say that. I know. Oh, if everyone doesn't know, like, your status the other day, I guess, like, promotions are falling through, and that's unfortunate.
I don't want to break news or anything. Wade knows this, but we did get hired at another company in Connecticut today. I can't give any more detail. So yes, that's all I can say.
Okay, well, see, then that's a positive note into 2022.
Right in Jackie G's neck of the woods where he lives in Connecticut.
Yep, we'll be right around the corner.
Yes, that's fucking. Already, I screwed up on that. See, I got a swear jar. I already screwed up. So that's awesome. Just to hear. I'm glad to hear that. But so for now, obviously, you guys know how much I know about you guys. You know I've been a supporter now for almost 2 years of the Stepdads because I accidentally found you.
We know.
Yep.
You know there's an insanely rude sign right behind you, right?
Yes, I don't want to the background a little bit here.
Okay, so he did that our last episode with the Even Stevens, and I'm like, you're really just insanely rude. Like, you have an insanely rude poster, but yeah, what about my boys? Like,
excuse me. For the record, Kels, I've been supporting these guys because I accidentally found them on YouTube. Yes, I may have found them looking up insanely. That is a dope sign by Terry, by the way.
We know you found us because you were looking up weird
other tag teams.
You search Stepdads Wrestling without the space, which is always an issue for people. You understand?
But
we really got to get hired by WWE or something so we can change it to Stepdads WWE or Stepdads MLW or something. That's the real goal.
But I've been supporting you guys now for the last 2 years majorly, and I've been supporting you even before that, coming out to TOS, coming out to Tough and Talented, that surprise appearance at Invictus, that really made me happy because I never got
cool.
Never got really guys wrestle at Invictus. And my favorite part about that was that there were some new faces there that didn't get to see you guys wrestle at Invictus either for the first time.
I feel like every time we go to a new company, there's always new faces for us to meet, and that's the really cool part about going to new places or returning to new places. Absolutely love that.
That Invictus show kind of was cool too because it came together really last minute. We weren't supposed to be on that show. It kind of just happened like the day before, and we had the day open, so we ended up there, and kind of ended up in that Rumble with a lot of guys that I had seen but never been in matches with. So it was a fun time. Got to go toe-to-toe with Ransom and Murder Pancakes with a double choke slam, which was a good time. So, fun time.
Yeah.
Now, where do you both reside
this is a
out of?
podcast about the Rising Star Rumble, right? Because it's the Rising Star podcast. That's why we're on, right?
So,
Yes, sir.
we, contrary to popular belief of everyone ever, we do not live in New York, nor do we live in Connecticut, nor do we live in Massachusetts. We live in Central New Jersey.
Yes!
Oh, Central Jersey, sorry, yeah.
Jersey boys! Yay! I grew up in South Seaside, so it's like when I hear about Jersey boys, I'm like, yay!
I'm the actual Jersey guy. I've born and raised in Keyport.
Okay.
Like the 117, gateway to the Bay Shore.
I'm the
Rad Dad
pretender.
is from California / Salt Lake City / Vegas.
But still, growing up in New Jersey, like I always said, Jersey, where I grew up in Seaside, was like the small California, because we did live like a California lifestyle.
So
Like-
Central Jersey, which does exist, Central
more?
Jersey has a little bit of everything going on. You got some farmland, you got some, you got the shore. You're an hour from New York City, an hour and a half from Philly. Like you got a little bit of everything. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I absolutely love it out here. Like you said, I lived on a pig farm in California. I lived 2 miles out of Salt Lake City, and I lived in Las Vegas for 16 years. And I love Central Jersey. I think it's the best.
Well, you have Atlantic City. That's like, the tiny version of Vegas.
Yeah.
They try. I'll give
They
them
do.
that,
I mean, there's no slogan that says whatever happens in Atlantic City stays in Atlantic City. Like,
No, because when you catch something in Atlantic City, it comes back with you.
and when you lose, you kind of have to just quietly, awkwardly walk away.
Whether that be a disease or a gunshot wound.
That's true. I will say my dad was a 7 Stars gambler down in Atlantic City, and he would go outside for a cigarette, and the strangest walks of life. Like, these people were like the people you find at Walmart at like 2 a.m., but like evolved form.
Yeah.
Would just be like, "Can I get a cigarette? Hey, you gave me a cigarette. You want a little extra for," and he'd be like, "Get the hell away from me."
Atlantic City's wild. I
Yeah.
go there never, if I can help it. I've been there a few times.
But I will say, and I tell this to everybody, the worst part of New Jersey, and quote me if I'm wrong, is Camden, New Jersey.
Well, yeah,
That is the armpit of America that was never deodorized, that just people forgot about, and just
Camden is just horrifying. Like
I went there for a Zac Brown concert, and there were 8 like murders within that night.
Oh, was it at the time? When was this? Because it could have been the Tweeter Center at the time. Now it's like the PPG Center. It's like something else.
Yeah, it's
BB&T Center.
2012.
Okay, I was down there for a concert once. It was in 2002. It was the first concert I ever went to. It was Saves the Day, Green Day, and Blink-182.
Oh my God.
First concert I ever went to. And the only time I'll go down there now is because they have an aquarium that's really cool. And that aquarium has hippos, and that's also really cool. So check out the Camden Aquarium and do nothing else in Camden. Just get the hell
leave.
out of it.
Leave. And if you can, drive the friend who has the crappiest car. Don't bring a nice car down there, because it will leave. Like, you will come out and be like, "Where'd my car?"
They have parking outside there that's secure.
Thank God.
Just don't try to find like free street parking.
Kind of jealous.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody's gotten to see Blink-182 except me. So.
Well, I
was supposed to see them. I was supposed to see them a second time a few years ago in Atlantic City. I was supposed to see them on the beach in Atlantic City, and it got canceled because there was like a hurricane that was supposed to hit.
At least it wasn't our like traumatic experience. So I'm a huge Linkin Park fan. Joe is a big Blink-182 fan. How ironic. Two were going to collab and do this amazing, I was like losing my train of thought, amazing, awesome concert. We got, all of us, we all went in on, like we were all going to get tickets individually, whatever, make a whole day out of it. 2 weeks before the show, Chester, and I know now I'm never ever going to see my favorite band ever live. And if I do, it's never going to be what it would have been.
Yeah.
And then poor Joe, every time he was supposed to go see Blink, it's like something happens and he just can't get there or can't go. So when that happened, he like, it made me mad in the moment, but now I'm like, oh, I get it. Like he was like, God damn it, now I'm not going to see Blink. And I just like, shut up, look like you asshole.
Well, while you guys, I'm not listening. I'm just gonna grab something from behind me that you'll appreciate, Joe.
Joe, you know what they say, right? Blink and you'll miss it.
Apparently, I've blinked and I've missed
This
it
is
like
currently
4 times now.
This is currently sitting right behind me.
Hey, there you go. That's a quality product right there.
That is dope.
That's a that is a scale model of Tom's guitar signed by Tom.
I remember. I think I saw you post that on Instagram a while back, and I said,
I thought
"Wow."
we were gonna like try to reach like into the camera. I'd be like, oh my God.
I bet you RJ. I was saying, I bet you
Where
RJ from Insanely Rude was jealous, and then he responded right afterwards. So.
See, fun fact about
in our ladder match. That'll be the
fun,
thing hanging.
Fun fact, I don't know if we ever told you, is like I know RJ and I know those guys since before pro wrestling. Like we used to backyard wrestle with those guys.
That's hysterical.
I think I remember that on Justin's podcast, actually, the Nerds of Wrestling podcast.
Yeah,
that came up. So I do remember that.
Bit of a throwback.
Justin at the same time, so yeah.
So ironic thing before we get back into the other stuff. When you were mentioning Blink-182, like it literally, I have no luck going to see them because I had a chance to go see them when I was 16, and that fell through because when I was 16, parents were like, "No, you can't go to Blink-182. You'll get into drugs and alcohol." And I'm like, "Well, that sucks," because I didn't even get a chance to go. And then I was supposed to go, I think during another tour that they had, but then that's when they broke up. And then then I bought tickets, I think in 2009 when we got back together, and I couldn't go to that because I had no ride. And then then we were supposed to go to Linkin Park in 2017, and then that fell through. And then 2 years ago, I was actually going to go to the show. Ironic, and the hilarious part about it, the show I was going to go to, my buddy got tickets, and it was a last minute thing. Either I go to the show for Blink-182 in 2019, or I go out for Kelsey's birthday dinner. So.
You chose me over Blink. I actually feel really honored. I can't sit there and say I don't remember. Dude, having a child, I don't remember what I ate for breakfast.
I'm a little sad I haven't gotten to see them with Matt Skiba because I do love Alkaline Trio also.
Yes.
Although
I don't think he's a good fit. Like as a pop punk fan of like my generation,
Kelsey, let Papa Bear speak.
Nothing's gonna match Tom because no one has a voice like Tom.
Right.
Because Tom sucks at singing, but it's awesome.
It's so good.
Tom's voice is garbage.
Where are you? And I'm so sorry.
Where are you?
And I'm so sorry.
And I'm so sorry.
I cannot sleep. I cannot dream tonight.
I need some way and always.
Yeah, I love Tom singing. I actually think Neighborhoods is such an underrated album. I listened to it probably more than anything recently. But yeah, Blink is. I go way back with Blink. I have Dude Ranch somewhere on CD sitting around here. Love Blink. Although I will say, when I saw them with Green Day stole the show. I will admit that.
I hear Green Day is amazing live. Like how they are in the album is exactly how you hear it live, and you're just like blown away by them.
Yeah.
And even to this day, like they're getting older. Like when you hear an album, you still kind of go back to that time era, and then you forget, like, oh my God, they aged.
Yeah.
And seeing him recently, I forget what he was on, but he did something live, and I was like, holy crap! Or I think it was Thanksgiving Day Parade, and I was like, holy crap! Like, yeah, he looks older, but he still sounds great.
Yeah.
It's like Dakota gotta grab a hold of your Burger King soda.
My mom was in this mood for Burger King because my dad can't eat like solid foods really. So my mom's like, "Can we get Burger King? I just need a burger." And I was like, "Okay."
So getting off the pop punk train because going into the wrestling thing now. I remember a lot has changed since I've had you guys on the Sign Rip podcast. A lot has changed since I first finally got to meet you guys in 2020 during of all times the pandemic. And during 2020, I didn't actually think I was going to see any wrestling for the rest of the year. So Test of Strength Wrestling, you guys got to finally make your long-awaited TOS debut. Something I'm so glad that I made the trip up to Torrington, Connecticut for. My hometown of Connecticut because I live there.
It's a big
but
town.
I actually live in Hartford. But the funniest thing is I was drawn, and you guys already know the story. I was drawn by the fact that you guys were on the show. And I remember hitting up Rad Dad when I saw it said the Stepdads underneath. And the dumbest question I ever asked him, I feel personally dumb for this, is like, are you guys wrestling that show in Connecticut? Because it says the Stepdads. Because I'm trying to think, is there any other tag team in the world known as the Stepdads? I'm praying to God it's you two, And I was so happy.
I mean, it's us. I don't think anyone wants to be us. So if you see the Stepdads, it's definitely us.
Now, what what made you guys pick that name, that gimmick?
I love this.
So
go ahead.
The name itself came before the team. For at least the last 15 years, the name of my fantasy football team is Stepdads because we beat you and you hate us. That's where it came from. It was a joke. It was a dumb joke, but it just stuck. And then when I wrestled in the backyard with my friends, I had a tag team with a different Dan, with a different Daniel. And we were the Stepdads,
Radley,
but we weren't the full gimmicky Stepdads. We just kind of were jerks who had that mantra of we beat you and you hate us. We were just cocky jerks. And then when we went pro, we kind of figured the name was there. It was fun. It was different. How can we take it and just take it all the way? And it fit our style and our gimmick and that way we act in general, so we just ran with it.
Yeah, the main thing is, and I'm sure even Stevens, other people already said this, you want to be yourself to 11. We're already the Stepdads to 9 on a normal day, so there's not much of a difference. It's almost like when somebody makes fun of you for something, oh, okay, grandpa, or whatever. We just took what people kind of joked about or between us and our friends and just expressed it as the Stepdads.
Yeah.
And the main idea we had is when we started, I started a little earlier than Wade, but we pretty much started as a team the same year, was that we knew we were going to get clobbered a lot. We're probably going to lose a lot. We just accepted that right from the beginning. So the main idea was, what could we do within the time frame of our music hitting to getting in the ring and getting our butts kicked pretty much immediately? What's the one single solitary thing we could do? Well, we could wear robes and sweaters and smoke pipes and come out with newspapers and have a swear jar for the crowd, and we could bring bell chimes and put them next to the ring and wipe our feet on welcome mats and then be destroyed.
Yeah.
And
there was a point very early on, I used to come to the ring with reading glasses on.
Yeah.
Which did not last long because I lost them, and they don't show up that well. You know what I mean? It's it's a small.
Not these big things.
Yeah. Plus, I also wear contacts anyway, so it was very hard on the eyes. I had to get I couldn't find any good I don't know. I was worried.
Disposable kind of frames.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was buying reading glasses from a thrift shop for $2.
Yeah. That's what you have to do. And those are magnifying, man.
So much of the stuff we still have is from thrift shops. The black sweater I used to have that's gone. I was from a thrift shop. The golf sweater I have was from our first thrift shop trip, when we started the gimmick. We stopped at Goodwill, and that was the first thing I found was that awful golf sweater that I still wear.
I love that you go awful.
It is. It's terrible. And now I fit into it, so I can wear it all the time.
We were laughing every time we find something. It's just the silliest stuff ever.
But now,
Yeah,
why did you guys say that you're going to lose or get beaten? Like, why do you have that mindset?
Well, we figured
Because we're new.
we were new. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean,
We're
now
new.
we never lose. I mean, Joe knows that. We don't lose ever now.
We're new. We're kind of goofy in
The
general. Like,
inaugural
we
two
look-
TW tag team champions.
yes. One day we'll defend them.
But I mean, yeah. So obviously they're new, so they're gonna lose, unfortunately. But and it, like I said, speaking of being new, you guys started in TOS back in 2020. Unfortunately, Kels, they had 2 delayed starts. Unfortunately, the first one was because, of course, what everything was delayed on, the pandemic.
Yeah.
And then their second one, they were geared up for a show in August, and I was bummed out because I was going to end up missing that show because my sister was having her last week before she went away to college. And I'm not saying I'm glad that Rad Dad got hurt before this.
I want to see how you word this. Let's see how you word this, Joe.
Like, how do you word that?
Rad Dad, I love you, and I'm so glad that you're okay after that.
It was. We'll call it a happy coincidence.
It was a bittersweet, not bittersweet, unhappy coincidence. I'm trying to.
I mean,
I'm on the
thought it was
spot. This
hilarious,
freaking
so.
sucks. Does that count as a curse? Does that count for something in the swear jar? Look, it did.
Put money in the square.
I think it was just kind of destiny that the Stepdad squad were supposed to be there for the TOS debut. So I'm glad that it wasn't anything super serious. Rad Dad went down with an injury right before the TOS debut the second time, unfortunately. And but I feel like it the way things happen for a reason, and in a way, it actually made the Stepdads debut at Test of Strength Wrestling so much more special, in my opinion.
I do agree with that.
Yeah, I agree too, because we were supposed to start in April. I think it was my birthday weekend too, so it was like right around there. So I was really excited about it. Obviously, the world shut down, and then during the summer, I was training in a ring. Technically, I was training in GCW's ring at a farm in South Jersey. And the heat was so bad that the saliva in my neck hardened, and not only did I have like a terrible fever, from dehydration. So I immediately got chills, and the saliva, like I said, it hardened to the point where they had to drill into my mouth and remove one of my back teeth in order to take the saliva out before it became such a giant ball that I couldn't breathe anymore. So unfortunately,
I've never heard of that ever happening.
Me neither. Didn't know that existed.
No.
Nobody did. And so literally, I even told Slick Wagner Brown the day before the show, I was like, I'll try to come to the show. And he's like, no, just next month. It's fine. Next month. So it allowed us to have this build up for what, like 5 months or something, to try to finally get to this company. And when we finally did, I feel like everything just clicked. And from day one, we defeated Cold Cash, their first loss ever at TOS. Started a 9-month feud that we didn't know where it was going to go. It just ended up being awesome.
I got to drop a Smurf on his head.
Yep.
Like an actual like Smurf, like when it's like a doll, like you just boop.
No, I mean,
you got to drop a wrestler named Richard E. Stone that they call the Smurf at Test of Strength Wrestling.
Oh, I'm thinking like you pulled like a little Smurf out of your pocket and went.
No, I mean, I probably, it's not something I wouldn't do.
I mean,
you guys seem comical enough where like Rad Dad seems more like the serious one, and then you kind of, I feel like at the end would pull something really funny, or is it the opposite?
Oh, it depends on the day.
Yeah, it depends on the day and the mood. I mean, we had a friend wrestle a pair of his pants one time. Like, it's we're all over the place.
That's great.
And he lost. He did lose.
The best part I liked about the Stepdads in their debut was, now obviously, I mean, and we'll get into the funniest part during that feud. You guys, obviously, you guys, and I know, and I don't like to keep going back to these guys because this is your episode, not Insanely Rude's. But I remember a while back when I spoke to Insanely Rude at Invictus, they said that their debut at Invictus was so much more easier knowing that they had people there to cheer them on, so they didn't feel nervous. You guys knew there was a lot of all of us were coming out to support you for that show because we were all fans of you even before you got there. Did it make things less nervous for the Stepdads?
Oh, 100%.
Absolutely.
Because we knew we would come out and have a reaction. Like, sometimes there is that worry that, like, when we're in a new place that we're going to come out and, like, we really got to throw everything into it because these people have no idea who we are.
Yeah, we understand wrestling fans. We're wrestling fans. And we know if we were in that situation, what they would think. It's always the same thing. It's always, who the hell are these guys? This is dumb, followed by, oh, this is awesome. They know they're dumb, followed by, oh, that was a really good match. So
Yeah.
it goes in layers.
Yeah, to put it in the way as someone told me once to my face after a show, you guys came out to the ring and I said, who are these fucking clowns? Yeah, I got you. I'll throw it downstairs. I'll throw it down the laundry chute, Red.
That actually does come right here, so it's perfect.
Yeah.
Wait, you guys live together?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's
He's
really
right next to me. No. But yeah, we do live together.
No,
Yep.
do you need me to prove it? Do you need me to run downstairs mid-show?
that'd be hilarious.
I'll
It
think
would be
about it.
hilarious. But so obviously it made the debut a lot more relaxing for you guys, knowing you had the Stepdad squad coming out there. You see the signs from me, Simon, Billy, Terry Duffy Jr. Just the entire squad breaking out the signs, the Stepdad shirts, and you guys. I know the energy you felt was good that night. Got to witness the key moments of the Stepdads and what made them special for all of us. I got to actually witness the Stepdads spank somebody for once for the first time ever in a match. That was great. The following show, and this one is one that sticks with me the entire time. You guys had the match where you teamed up with Bobby Ocean to take on Cold Cash and I think Johnny Santos, right?
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
Kelsey,
Bobby
listen
Ocean,
to this
the
one.
reason we got into TOS too. He saw one of our matches in upstate New York and was like, "I'm gonna put in a good word for you," and it worked.
Yeah, that was fun because, like, I've never been in the ring with Bobby, but we've known him for a while, and man, I was so happy we were on his team because
What's his name again? Soft touching Bobby Ocean, I think.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, like delicate touch Bobby Ocean.
That's right. Yeah. Yes.
I loved about it. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I was watching him. I was watching him light up Santos from the apron, just like, thank God that's not me. That's what we were expecting to happen to us when we started. That was it.
Now, to contrary, was there ever times he tried not to laugh with how funny you guys can be in the ring? Because you got the hard-hitting Bobby Ocean, who's all seriousness coming to the ring, and then he gets you guys, which I love how hilarious you guys can be. You actually grabbed Ryan Frost's nose at one. You took his nose at one point during that match.
He
didn't deserve that nose.
Bobby was definitely trying not to crack a smile at times on the apron because fun thing about us that you don't always pick up is we're very talkative in the ring, like not just to the crowd, but like to each other. So like we'll say stuff just to try to make each other laugh sometimes, just to see if the guy will react.
There's a lot of times where I'll mention, it's like somebody else stomp on me or something, and I'll be like, "Stay away from my gorgeous hair," and maybe no one else will hear it, but he'll fucking lose it. Oh, there's a swear jar again, and but like stuff like that happens all the time. When we wrestled Hornswoggle, the whole entire time we were just messing with him back and forth, like it was ridiculous. I love doing that kind of stuff.
But and at the same time,
it throws everyone off.
Yeah, at the same time, being in there with Bobby was awesome because like a few times. Like, I was a little nervous because, like, I was still getting my footing in TOS. And I was in the ring doing, crowd was behind me, 100%. You guys were behind me. And I went to, like, get up and tag. And Bobby was like, no, wait. Like, play it up. Let it simmer. Let the crowd, like, react. And then, like, went right back into it. Like, it just clicked right back in. I was, like, overthinking it. And it just clicked right back in.
I just knocked my camera over.
Yeah, where you going?
I don't know. It just fell over. I was trying to like adjust things here, and like I said, I loved how the contrasting styles. You got the serious Bobby Ocean who's hard hitting, and you guys in the hystericalness of him trying not to crack a smile. Do you ever guys try to get wrestlers to crack smiles in the middle of the match to get them to like
nonstop?
Oh, yeah. There was one time I was in a battle royal, and Jamie Senegal, who's now in Impact Wrestling, was in the battle royal, and the entire battle royal, I just tried to steal her shoes. That's all I did. So she would be in the corner, like doing some move or something, and I would just walk up and I'd go, "Give me those shoes," and I would just try to take her shoes until she kicked me away.
But
And then a
now,
couple minutes-
see,
Yeah.
this is exactly why I think you guys were even Stevens, and like, it would just blow my mind. Like, I get it. Like, I know the dream match that Joe says, but you guys with even Stevens, that's what drew me to them, was that they're comical. Like, I always, since I was younger, I love to laugh. I love anything that can make me laugh. So when like guys like that come into the ring, yes, I get it. It should be serious and like it's an art form. But when it's funny, it to me is like, oh my God, this is great.
But like
that's what drew me in.
Yeah, so we're very serious about our comedy. Like we do not take it lightly when we're in there. Like everything we do comedy wise, we talk about it like a lot to get it right, where it doesn't just feel like it's making fun of wrestling and making it look fake, that it's still taking something that's based in wrestling.
Well, you're performing.
Yeah, but it's always just like taking something in wrestling and subverting it in a way, rather than just like doing a thing because it's funny.
Right.
Like it still has to make sense in the context of wrestling, and it's a fine line to draw.
Yeah, and I think that's even harder. I feel like, you know, either you go in as a macho man, you go in as a heel, and you're just like, and I like MCM about the nerds, and
yeah,
I think it's very hard to be comedic but serious. And I think you guys and the Even Stevens, because like I can see how far they're growing now.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are in a whole different category.
It's
because
also, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Like, write that down. Kelsey said we're in a whole different category from the Even Stevens. Okay.
No, you're with them. I'm saying
that's what she said.
You're with them.
I heard it.
But you guys and them, you guys do stuff that's so different. Like
it's tough too, because like you have to be dead. Like when you're doing comedy as opposed to like serious like move based wrestling, is like you do a move and if it doesn't land with the crowd, you could go right into the next thing.
Right.
When it's comedy, you have to like sometimes really dedicate like 2 or 3 minutes to getting to the punchline and just hope that the crowd's gonna come with you for the ride and be there when the punchline happens. Like when we steal a guy's nose, if they're not into it, we just gotta go with it because like and hope that if we go with it long enough, they will come around and find it as funny as we do.
Like, for example, when Joe saw us steal noses, I threw the nose into the crowd and they threw it back. Now, what would have happened if they never threw it back? I don't know. Would I have dove out into the crowd to figure out?
Be like, I need that.
Yeah, I would have done something to keep the silliness going because we're just silly people, you know? The more involved you're in, the more you're in the moment, the better it is every time.
But I think if you're a real fan or a real wrestling fan, you see that. Like you see that these wrestlers are trying and they're trying to get your attention. And once you get the attention, it's like, oh, okay, I get what they're doing now.
It also like comedy is weird too because like it's kind of dependent on where it is on the show. If our match is later in a show, we will do less comedy because the crowd is like
you're tired.
The crowd doesn't want guys screwing around. They want to just like get to the wrestling.
Yeah, think of it like a movie. There might be a lot of fun quips at the beginning of the movie and stuff, but once they get to the end of the movie, you want to see the big fight or the big conflict.
Well, it's like a fireworks show. You get like the really cool ones, and then like you wait for that grand finale. And you're like, okay, it's over. Like as a fan, now that I'm a mom raising a crazy 1-year-old, when we went to WrestleFest, it's like you look at the time and you're like, okay, like when's the last match? In the beginning, you're like, your energy is there, you're ready for it, you're excited. But then towards the end of the night, you're like, oh, I'm tired. Oh man, I gotta drive home. So like, I get what you're saying. Like if you come out later in the event card, you're not going to be as comedic as you were if you were the first 2 slots.
Exactly. It's like when you watch a Marvel movie. Sorry.
I was just gonna say there's been matches we've had where we knew the show was going long, And Wade could back me up on this. The match literally starts with me diving at them from outside the ring. Like we don't even start in the ring. Like let's just get to it. And it keeps that flow.
Yeah, it's like I like it. It's like if you're watching like you guys have seen the Marvel movies. Once Thanos shows up and once Thanos is there fighting Captain America, you don't want jokes. Like it's serious now. It's the end of the movie. It's like it's not the time.
Right.
That's kind of like as the show goes later. Even like
just like it wasn't. Oh, I'm sorry.
Even our matches are structured in a way where like we'll open with the comedy stuff a lot of times, but once like the heels cheat and take the advantage by cheating, it's like fun and games are over. There's no more comedy. It's like now we're pissed off.
Can I mention now, and I love because I wanted to lead into this so bad, my favorite Stepdads match to date right now. And I'm so happy to have been there to witness you guys win the 2 DW Tag Team Championships. But right now, to this date, my favorite Stepdads match right now, still to this date, was when Stepdads took on Cold Cash in the stepladder match.
So
yes, Kelsey.
That match should not have worked. There's no there's no Earth and no timeline that match should have worked the way it did. In fact,
but it worked.
I hated the idea of that match when it came up the first time. It was actually Frost who pitched it.
What?
Yeah. So
we used to have a joke because we'd never been in a ladder match before. We were supposed to be in one and it got canceled. That's literally it. So the joke we always had was if we're ever in a ladder match, we'll come out with our own step ladder and put it on top of the ladder and climb up, just as an extra joke. Somehow that joke turned into its own match type.
Yeah. So Frost heard that from us and then kept pitching it to Slick over and over and over. So the point that we didn't think it was going to happen because we thought Frost was going to piss Slick off asking him to book it.
And I seriously think Slick did it as like, oh, you're going to keep bringing this up? All right, here's your challenge. Good luck.
So like that kind of deal. So then it happens, and we had the step ladders. We did the promo. Then we get to the show that day, and someone was running late. We weren't supposed to open that show. So someone was running late, and we got asked if we could go first because we were ready. And we had gotten there kind of late that day because of traffic. So we get in there, and it's like 30 minutes or 45 minutes to showtime, and we're like, well, okay, let's get ready for this stepladder match. We opened the show. Most amped I've ever been. Rad could tell you I was like pacing in the back because I was so amped because I was like, I'm gonna regret making them put us first. Everyone has to follow us down.
Get down.
I've never seen Wade jump up and down in like intensity. Like he's jumping up and down, and then he's talking to himself, going like, "Oh, sucks for them. They're putting the main event on first. That's too bad. The main event's coming right now. I don't know what they're gonna do rest of the show." And he's just talking to himself. I'm like, "Oh man, he's gonna throw this ladder at their faces. He's gonna destroy them." And then I know for a fact. I don't know if you know Wade. Flash Waller did an interview recently. He said he was super pissed he had to go out after us because he's like, how do I top that?
Yeah, I did not see that, but I'm glad to know.
Did you guys have any fears going into that? Like as your first ever ladder match, were you like, oh my God, what if this thing hits me in the face?
I had a little, but it's more just because I know that type of stuff can go wrong weirdly. Like it wasn't a fear as much as a like tables, ladders, that type of stuff is so unpredictable a lot of times. That was a little bit of it, but like once we got there and I was like ready to go out and I'm like Goldberg in the back hitting myself in the head and jumping up and down, it was over. Like I was ready.
Your adrenaline kicked in more.
What was that?
The adrenaline of it kicked in more, so it was like less fearful, more like, all right, let's go, let's do this. I can't wait, blah, blah, blah.
When it's like a big feud ender match, the adrenaline kicks in for me so hard if it's something I've been excited for and like I'm looking forward to telling the story of. There's something extra when it's a story match and like it's the big end to a story match and everything came out so good. Like the finish is still, I couldn't have come out better. That the driver on the ladder could not have come out better. I don't know how I didn't kill TJ. Like legitimately and in kayfabe, I don't know how I didn't kill him.
You killed their tag team. We know that. But yeah.
Yes.
I feel
Cold Cash was indeed not okay that night.
No, and never again.
No.
I do feel like our best matches are definitely the end of feuds, and I wish we had more feuds. Hopefully that'll happen more this year and into the future. But like we've had street fights in the past. I've had Christmas trees thrown at me in the ring. Wade got speared through the same tree. Like we had vinyl records smashed over people's heads. We've done that kind of stuff.
But how do you take a bump from a ladder? Like, how do you land off a ladder gracefully?
The same way. Oh, I don't know if there's gracefully.
Luckily, I just don't climb the ladders in the first place.
Yeah.
That's my go-to strategy. The best way to not fall off a ladder is don't climb it.
Yeah, as someone who's been pile driven off a ladder once, I can tell you I don't remember. So there you go. I'm kidding. But yeah, but it you just gotta be careful, real careful.
Yeah.
And I'll give Cold Cash credit. They're real pros.
Yeah, and it's the same. Like any big bump is the same as any normal bump. You just have to have full faith in the person doing it. That you have to work together. And if you have you're more likely to get hurt when you hesitate or when you question.
Stiffen or something.
Yeah. Like when you see someone like get power bombed and they're not ready for it or they're scared and they hesitate, that's when you see guys get caught up here and dropped on their necks. If you just go for it, you're better off. Like just and if you're not confident in it in the back, then you don't put it in the match.
Right.
I would say, although I'm not saying like everyone should be a backyard wrestler or anything, but our backyard wrestling time when we were even around trained pros and things like that, we had so much time to kind of just understand how to do everything correctly. Let's put it that way. And I don't think we have any general fear of taking any move in wrestling these days, and we haven't for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And that's just because even if things go wrong, we understand the worst case scenario and how to deal with it. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Papa Bear, I had a question because you were mentioning Rad Dad was mentioning how your adrenaline just kicked into full gear for that match. Obviously, now I remember a part before the show happened. We were all outside. The squad was outside, and Don Kincaid was doing one of his Kincaid files. Shout out to Don Kincaid. And Kincaid said, "Guys, look at that! That's the Stepdads right there!" And we popped so hard outside for you guys just walking in because it felt like something you'd see on the Attitude Era of Raw. You know, did that help get the adrenaline going? Just us popping for you outside, or was it were you just ready to go from the minute you guys arrived at the Columbia Club in Torrington?
Before Wade answers, I do want to say this. As we were walking up, we saw you guys. I don't know if Wade remembers this. I looked at him and I said, "This is gonna be cool. Watch."
Yeah, and we definitely were like, oh, we're gonna kayfabe the hell out of these guys and just like act like we were like in the zone, going in the building like wrestlers ready for a fight. But like a little bit, the adrenaline was going. A little bit was nerves because we were running late. So like it was a little bit of everything.
And then obviously for the match, you know, how crazy was it? Crowd was back and forth the entire match.
From the second we came out, it was like the energy was there. We stood in the entrance. We hit the ring. It was on like from the beginning. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. We started off hot with the brawl like into the crowd. I smashed a sign over one of the signs. Was it your sign or
Billy's sign?
Billy.
Oh.
Yeah, smashed it over Frost's head. Like it was from the get-go, like just all in.
And that was
I remember hitting a table really hard.
I think you landed on Jared's merchandise, actually.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, he doesn't need it.
That seems appropriate.
Yeah.
Which was funny, but as I said, that was like my favorite Stepdads match to date. And don't get me wrong, I'm so happy to have gotten to see you guys win some belts. I always like to see my favorites win a belt at one point or another, and I'm glad about that. But that match sticks out for me as my favorite match of your guys to this date. You know,
it's of the matches of ours that you've been at. I mean, that would be right near. Were you at the? Were you there for our match with Miracle Generation? You were, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, that would be my favorite match that we.
That was the one where I had the sign that said "Flash Kylon." It's nothing personal, but you guys are up against the Stepdads.
Yes, I couldn't remember if that was like a show that you like had to miss last minute or if you were actually at that one.
No, I don't think I've missed any Stepdads match in TOS yet, except for the one at Training Day, which that was the only one I missed, I think, so far, which I was really bummed out about. But like I said, I've seen everyone, and I felt so bad because Kylon and Flash were like, "You guys loved us," and I'm like, "Oh, you guys are breaking my heart right now." And then Kylon hits me up on Messenger later, and he's just like, "You owe me a sign at the next show."
It's okay. Those guys are they're all famous now, so we'll never see them again.
They're big time superstars now on the Indies. So
Yeah.
They don't got time for us little people anymore. They beat us, and now we're done. I guess.
Yeah. I'm just saying that in case they watch this because I know they hate that.
We were screaming for a rematch after that. We wanted to see number 2 between Stepdads and Miracle Generation.
Well, hopefully one of these days. It was a lot of fun. I mean, that was a 10-minute. We knew we were early on the show. That was like a 10-minute balls to the wall, especially because, and I'll say this now because you don't know this. When I think there was like a round table for that show maybe or something where everyone was like, "Oh, I can't wait to see Stepdads versus Miracle Generation. It's going to be so funny to see how they deal with these kids. I'm sure it's going to be ridiculous, blah, blah, blah." And as soon as I heard that, I was like, these people are not getting ridiculous. They are getting balls to the wall, nonstop wrestling, ridiculous nonsense because I want to change whatever they're expecting because I know they're expecting us to do comedy and I don't want to do any of it.
I did a little comedy.
Yeah, but we tried to come in and really surprise people because at TOS we hadn't really shown that we could what we're capable of yet. We had matches, but nothing like that. Nothing quite as indie-rific as that.
So expect the unexpected.
Especially if people say it out loud. If people say something out loud, I'm going to try to do the opposite every time.
That's cool.
I love that. Now, I've mentioned on Don Kincaid's Stirring the Pot with the Even Stevens how I really believe that you guys, along with Insanely Rude and the Even Stevens, are like the Edge and Christian Hardy Boys and the Dudley Boys of the Indies. I'm sorry.
Uh-oh.
Let me rephrase that. The Dadley Boys.
No, see, here's where you're sorely mistaken. We are Edge and Christian.
Oh.
And I say this because Edge and Christian are maybe my all-time favorite tag team and the team that I try to model ourselves after more than anything. Love Edge and Christian. I mean, I get why you'd pick us as the Dudleys, but I
actually technically didn't pick you as the Dudleys.
Steven Adger did. No, Somerset did.
So I was saying
wanted them to be the Dudley Boys because they're my favorite tag team.
More like at the Edge and Christian because of the fact that they went through Create a Pro where Brian Myers.
Oh yes. Oh right. Yes. But yeah, I literally have somewhere, and I have an Edge and Christian 5-second pose shirt still to this day. I'm gonna wear it next time I'm at a show, and I'm gonna wear it to the ring for our match just to prove that we are the Edge and Christian of this dynamic. Definitely not the Hardys. I can say that for a fact.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. I also think we're the Edge and Christian because in every single TLC match, Edge and Christian won, and we're definitely going to win. I mean, it's pretty obvious. So you can see all the way.
So then we're going to have to reiterate. So then who would Insanely Rude be? And then Even Stevens. Okay, that's fine.
And Even
Dudley
Stevens
Boys
are
were my
definitely the
favorite.
Dudleys.
They're brothers, so.
They're brothers because they have the same first name,
Mm-hmm.
So that has been a dream match I've been screaming to want to see, though, between the three of you guys, between the Stepdads, the Even Stevens, and Insanely Rude.
Yeah. It's funny. I've noticed you screaming quite a bit about matches. A match I'd also love to have. You haven't quite made the full connection yet, but the Stepdads versus A.K. Willis and Jason Andrews.
I have actually said that. I'm pretty sure I've said that on Twitter once or twice. I'd love to see Art of War, Jason Andrews versus the Stepdads, because like I said, there are so many amazing tag teams I want to see clash with the Stepdads, clash with Insanely Rude, clash with the Even Stevens, clash with Art of War, clash with Waves and Curls, clash with Miracle Generation. There's just so many that I want to see. I never got a chance to see MSP and the Stepdads throw down. I know it's happened in truly independent wrestling, but I'd love to see them dial it back.
We need a third of that for sure.
Yeah.
We went one of my favorite tag teams to wrestle. Yeah, one of my absolute favorite tag teams to wrestle ever, and great dudes too.
And I feel like the indie tag team wrestling scene is very strong with so many talented tag teams.
Yeah. I feel like that's what COVID brought out was really good tag teams. Because that's what I've been falling more in love with. Like since my first show, which was last year at Invictus, I fell in love with tag teams all over again.
That's awesome. 'Cause there's something special about tag team wrestling. Like it does stuff that singles wrestling can't quite do because you have the extra guys. So like the pacing and like what you're capable of doing is so much more. There's so many more potential options on how you can do the match. And I think like a good Arn Anderson, we always say it. Arn Anderson said it. A perfectly done tag match should beat a perfectly done singles match every time because there's more you're able to do.
Well, I just know for me personally, if I were to ever be a wrestler, and I know there's no real female tag teams, like there's only been like a handful.
There's enough.
Yeah,
I would have liked to have been in a tag team. I'm not one to go out and do things alone. Like I have really severe like social anxiety. So it's like, I like knowing I would have a partner.
There is like something to that for sure. Because
I think that's probably why I gravitate more to tag teams than I do individual wrestlers.
Oh yeah. There's something to be said about having that guy that like having someone physically and figuratively in your corner in the ring. Like if you forget something, they're there. If something happens, if the match starts to go sideways, they're there. Like there's something comforting about that. Like if the crowd isn't getting into it, like I could be on the apron hitting the turnbuckle and getting the crowd into it. It's a help. It's like a security blanket.
Yeah, and I think for me being an only child, I never had that sibling. So it's like, oh, well, if I had a tag partner, it's like having a sibling. Like they got your back and I got their back. Like I think that's a bond that singles wrestlers just don't have.
We're both only children, so yeah, we get it.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool.
I have two siblings. So
are you the oldest or the youngest?
I'm actually the oldest. The funniest thing is my brother was at that show at 2TW when you guys won the tag titles, and I still laugh at the fact that you yelled at him for cursing. He was cursing out loud because we were doing the thing with Don Kincaid, and he was like, "Don't touch the effing thermostat," and you're like, "Hey, watch your mouth! There are children." And Frankie got yelled at. It was like the most funniest thing in the world.
I mean,
gotta play by the rules.
I give your parents credit. Like they had you and they were like, we're going to try again. I don't know.
The funniest part about that is I love my parents, but they're not the funniest. They don't have the fondest happiness of wrestling. Trust me, you know? So, and I think they always, and I love them to death. I think they always thought I would have grown out of it after like the teenage years. So
it's my dad's fault. My dad got me into it in the first place.
Oh, wow.
My neighbors, who would probably be like my tag partner in a weird way, got me back into yeah. Like if you ever see that show, because like I said, I have a 1-year-old. My boyfriend, he loves Craig of the Creek, and we grew up next to the quarry. So when I watched that show, I'm like, oh my God. And ironically, the little girl's name is Kelsey. And I'm like, that's so weird. Like my name's not a popular name. So to see it in a cartoon, I'm like, that's weird. But it reminds me of how I grew up with my two neighbors doing everything together. And I'm like, you know, that to me was like, they got me into wrestling.
Yeah, I definitely had some neighbors who helped me get into it too, because like, it's funny. There were these two girls who lived next door, but like they had like VHS tapes of like random like wrestling stuff. And I would borrow it from them like every once in a while. And it was like 90s, like mid 90s WWF, like Bret Hart versus Isaac Yankem DDS, or like Lawler and Bret, and like random stuff. And I got into it from that. And my dad got me more into it, took me to my first shows in like 96 or 97. And then it was all downhill from there.
What do you want to say? It's more uphill? Bumpy roads.
I got into Bret Hart. It was Bret Hart that got me into wrestling, actually. It was funny because my old buddy, Tim, he invited me over for like SummerSlam 94. He said, yo, you're going to like this. And he was a wrestling fan before I was. He's like, it's kind of like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. You're going to have The Undertaker versus The Undertaker at SummerSlam 94. And I thought that was the coolest concept. I was like, oh, it's like a video game. And the funniest thing was, while that was the part that drew me into wanting to actually check out SummerSlam, the match that made me fall in love with wrestling, and I say this to everybody, Bret versus Owen, steel cage, for the WWF Championship at the time, and that's still to this day.
Yeah, I don't.
Made me love. I think I'm boring Kelsey because she's like.
I can't.
No,
think of
I'm watching my kid.
I can't think of a specific match that got me
She
in.
hates cage matches.
But like for sure, I was in for a while, and then I definitely got out for a while in like
that was me.
The early 2000s, like when like Mark Henry and Mae Young were giving birth to a hand and shit. I was like, I'm out.
I remember seeing that.
Yeah, that's a worthwhile swear. Like I'm not even gonna pay for that.
That was some crazy shit. Oh.
So yeah, I saw that. That kind of drew me out. Like I would watch once in a while, but I wasn't watching the way I would. And then for maybe like the next 3 or 4 years, I was out entirely. And then in high school, I had some friends who were a grade older, but they got me. Like we would go on the weekends, and we would go to one kid's house and watch the pay-per-views. Like 15 of us, and then we'd all carpool to school the next morning on Monday morning for like after whatever pay-per-view. So that kind of got me back into it, having people to talk to about it. And then I started going to like indie shows, which started in like early 06, like ROH and Jersey All Pro, and that got me fully back on board. Although I still probably wouldn't have ever started wrestling if it wasn't for Chikara. I'll say that much.
I got you.
That's fair. That's fair.
So we're almost ready to wrap up because we're almost at an hour here. So Rad Dad, yeah, almost. Rad Dad, I remember before you messaged me on Messenger about trying to convince you or trying to get to convince Kelsey why you guys. I forgot what was it again? I remember.
I said I hope this interview would somehow convince Kelsey, who's falling asleep over there, that we were a worthwhile tag team.
I'm not sleeping.
But she's already said that we're on another level compared to the
I
Even
would
Stevens.
say
I feel like we've already
you
won.
and Even Stevens are like here's my boys, and you're right under it. Like it used to be Even Stevens, Insanely Rude, and then the others. So you've definitely bumped up past Insanely Rude.
Name, by the way, the others.
She's just saying that right now because she likes to talk trash to RJ on freaking Facebook.
I think
she's
I'm entitled. You have your like.
She's calling RJ a sellout, which is true because they helped sell out the Mid-Hudson Civic Center
No, they didn't.
the other weekend
did.
because they helped sell out that show.
It's fun to talk trash to RJ.
I want to dance with somebody.
I know that because he's from New York.
Girls definitely sold that out.
Next time you talk to them, just if you want to end the conversation, just refer to AJ as AJ Bitchface. He'll really appreciate that.
Yes. Truth.
No, and I'm not joking. Call him that.
Wait,
there's a
who
whole
are you
story to
calling
that. What?
Oh, to RJ?
No.
Yeah.
To the other half of that wonderful tag team.
Zane?
Just refer to him as AJ Bitchface.
You want me to call Zane AJ Bitchface?
Can I just tag him into that right now? I'll be like, hey, Zane, aka AJ Bitchface.
Yes.
All right,
absolutely.
I'm doing it right now.
He'll love that.
You're really gonna call him AJ Bitchface?
Yep.
This
Right,
point,
yeah.
Let me ask you a question, Kelsey. How many times have you seen us wrestle live?
I've never the one time in Invictus, but it was literally for like 5 seconds. It wasn't very long.
I don't even count that. So even without ever seeing us in a tag team match live, we're already even with the Stevens.
Wait,
I feel like
wait, hold on. I'm writing it. Hey, wait, what am I? Papa Bear. What am I supposed to write? Hey, Zane Bernardo, aka
AJ Bitchface, and just say like, hey, what's up? Just see how he responds. I just want to see how he responds. Don't say I said to say it. Just be like, hey.
I already have $1
Give him
here.
a hand wave or something.
Hey Zane, aka AJ Bitchface, how's it going?
I put dot. What's up?
He'll appreciate that.
Oh,
that comes from a when we used to backyard wrestle. One of the shows we were at was, well, like we were hanging out with them. It was the first time we met them. They were probably like 15 or 16.
5 years old.
Yeah. And a couple of our friends from the UK were here. And they also came and wrestled in, it was, I think, RJ's backyard at the time. And our friend.
That's what that noise is. I'm like, I hear the woo, 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 and I'm like, what is that? And it's his jar.
Yeah. Our friend Tim wrestled AJ or Zane and referred to him as AJ Bitchface after the match, and I think about it all the time.
It lives rent free in your head.
Yeah, it just lives there. So he'll probably be like, "Yo, what the hell?"
See, I love Insanely Rude in the sense that like I've become like friends with them like over the internet. Like I could like bullshit with them.
Oh yeah.
You Stevens, I became really like good friends with Somerset, like or Azure. Same first name, so I always get them confused. But like I like knowing that I can have a really cool relationship with these guys. Like they had MJ friggin' app, and I literally messaged him, was like, "Oh my god!" He goes, "I know, right?" And I was like, "That's so cool." Like I hope to have that bond with you guys. I enjoy your company on here. I also my last question of the night. So I know you guys come out to Full House. When you guys heard that he passed away, did it like hurt you inside? Going, "Holy shit."
For sure. I mean, it's
like
definitely...
I instantly, when I saw that Bob Saget died, my instant thought was, "Oh my god, that's the Stepdads," and then like instantly their theme song just came on.
It's like Danny Tanner, Bob Saget will always have like a special part in our like an indirect part in our wrestling career because of that. So like a part of when I mentioned Chikara used to have their commissioner would always be like a random person, and for a while their commissioner was Bob Saget, and he like they just named him the commissioner, but like everyone's like, oh, he's never going to show up. They just did it as a joke, and then at one point he actually showed up to a show, and so it was always that was such a fun moment. And then when we started doing the Stepdads thing, I was like, part of our like figuring out how to do this gimmick was like, how would Danny Tanner act if he was a wrestler like on the weekends? And that was kind of like what got us in the mindset of like how to portray these characters. So yeah, there's definitely a soft spot. I will say I'm probably more of an Uncle Joey, but you know, I do love Danny Tanner as well.
Well, so funny story. Well, quick thing. Our best friend Jimmy, he comes over once a week. He calls my boyfriend Danny Tanner because my boyfriend has severe OCD about certain little things, which is fine. But like if Dakota, like when we found out we were pregnant, the one thing he said, he was like, "Ugh, sticky fingers, I can't." And glitter, he hates glitter, especially when we found we were having a girl. He goes, "Glitter just gets everywhere." And then now it's the sticky fingers. She's at that age, so she likes to take things out of her mouth and then like try to give it to you. And like Joe doesn't care. He's just like, "Ooh," and he doesn't care.
I love my little tag partner. That's the thing.
Instantly go, "Get me the wipes. Get them for me." And then his best friend will go, "All right, Danny Tanner." Like, so when Bob Saget died, we were just like, "Aw," like, and we made a joke that we were gonna get him like a cordless little vacuum for every little crumb that she leaves. But then it's like, oh, like I can't make fun of him anymore because that's like, you know.
Yeah, no.
And James, I didn't want to interrupt the Stepdad.
No,
but
you're good.
And James is like Danny Tanner in a way because when you turn off the Full House like family friendly stuff, he's got some of the most fucking dirty.
Oh yeah, my boyfriend's like when my boyfriend can be ruthless. Like the stuff that comes out of his mouth, like you'll look at him and mind you, he's a banker, so he is like super professional. And the way he talks is so elegantly, but then all of a sudden he just goes, "Bah!" And you're just like, "Whoa!"
Yeah, you should.
But it's like cool.
One day maybe you'll see us be heels at a promotion that'll like because when the heel switch flips, I am.
So then you become the Disney villain, like
I am.
You know, how, like the
moms,
the stepmoms were like the villains.
There's nothing Disney about what I turn into.
There's nothing wholesome about it.
I'm just imagining like
brutal.
The angry dad from the Phil Collins "No Son of Mine" video.
It's next level. Like, because I have a pretty.
Are you what CPS was made for?
Yeah, you know how like, I mean,
what the fuck?
That's like, yeah. We beat the living crap out of you.
Joe, you know this. It's like I'm pretty quick-witted at ringside. Like I'll hear you guys say something and come right back with a comeback if I'm like near your side of the ring or whatever. So now imagine that with no filter.
Think of it like where Danny Tanner is faces, but as heels, we're Bob Saget doing HBO stand-up. You know
okay, that's really funny.
Yeah.
So
there's cocaine everywhere.
Oh, it gets. Yeah.
Yes.
I've said some really brutal things that I will not say for fear of the swear jar on this podcast.
Yeah.
By the way, Kelsey, Another thing for you, if you need to hit up RJ Rude for anything, ask him if he still has his list of wrestling moves handy.
Was it like a little index card? Like, all right, I got to do this move tonight.
All I'll say is at one point during a match, he once pulled out a list of potential wrestling moves for him to do, which he then told the crowd, and then the crowd decided which one to do. Right? I believe that's how it went. And he said
he was like in the game.
The way I remember it is he pulled the list
use
out
X for elbow drop. Use triangle for punch.
It was bad. It was.
I was gonna say I remember it more as he pulled out the list of potential moves, and I don't remember him reading it because I just remember everyone booing him and cursing at him.
Aww.
He hadn't found his way yet.
Yes, that was
before we
But you have to commend them. They have gotten better.
Oh,
I think they're flawless in the ring. Like, I think, and especially this recent match, they were really good. Like, even though they were heels against Waves and Curl and Geo and Wrecking Ball, they did a phenomenal job. Like, their moves now compared to when I first saw them like 3-4 years ago have changed so much. Like, they've grown and they're grinding. So I will give them that. Like,
it's all about that evolution. And they've evolved far from where we first met them.
Especially you guys, you've seen them as children pretty much in the ring.
Yeah, as AJ Bitchface.
I have a pokey response to that.
Now, before I let you guys plug the shit out of everything, you know, I do have my own last question. Do I have permission to make a little stepdad shirt for my favorite little tag partner?
Absolutely.
Of course. Absolutely.
I always ask permission before I go and make it get done.
Oh, no, we totally on board. It's something that I wish we could really like feasibly do. Yeah. But it's just so hard to like know. Like we have a hard enough time selling small shirts. Like it's tough. It's tough trying to guess what the market's gonna be.
So yeah, it's weird. I thought these kids would have $20 on them. They never do.
Yeah.
Stepdads, it's been such a pleasure, as it has always been, to chat with you guys, whether it be at the shows or through the podcast. That I think I've done this with you guys so many times at this point. You got some stuff you want to plug?
Oh my goodness, we got. Why? So, nah. I mean, maybe some smoke signals or something. We could do like an old AIM. Is AIM still around? Maybe MySpace.
AOL Instant Messenger.
ICQ.
Yeah. IDQ. GeoCities. Stepdads.com.
GeoCities.
Oh, I do have a GeoCities page. I don't.
Oh boy.
Angel Fire page.
Angel Fire. Woo.
So I'll go first. If anyone wants to follow me, for the non-stepdad stuff, because all the stepdad stuff goes on the stepdad social media, which Rad Dad usually handles, although there is a little bit of extra. I'll occasionally pop in there and say some nonsense. My social media is all under Wade Kruger 1. That is Wade, WADE, Kruger, KRUEGER 1, like Freddy, and Wade like Wade Wilson, Deadpool. That's my socials for Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, I guess, all that stuff. TikTok. I'm on TikTok. I don't know why. Probably because I'm going through a midlife crisis. So, but yeah, I have all that, and then we also do have our own podcast where we watch WCW. We watch old WCW Thunder episodes.
That's great.
Called Thunder Buddies, because you're gonna need some friends to get through that shit.
We need a guest star on it.
Yeah, we do.
You say that you're excited now. Talk to us 2 hours into an episode of Thunder and see how you feel.
I don't know, man. I don't know if I'd be able to handle it. I watched a lot of Thunder back in the day. So
see, everyone says that. We've had people on, and they're like, "Oh, I remember so much Thunder. It's garbage. You don't remember it, and it's terrible."
No, I agree.
So the Thunder Buddies, we are on Facebook. If you look us up, we are also on Twitter at Thunderbuds Pod. We're a little behind on uploading it there because I'm lazy and forget all the time, but it all links up, and you catch up on the first like 15 episodes on there, at least in the meantime. Or don't do that. I probably don't, but like if you want to, sure.
We just had the mighty the mighty Bosch on, and soon we're gonna have Don Kincaid as our next guest. So I'm sure that's gonna be really wacky.
Yeah, that'll be tomorrow.
Yeah.
Don!
We've already had,
Oh yeah.
we've already
Jackie
had,
G! I love saying that.
I'm curious to see how Don Kincaid's going to handle being on a podcast where he doesn't get to talk the whole time.
Jackie G and Harley Pins are on the same podcast. Holy shit, dude! Oh, there we go.
I just want to hear Don Kincaid's opinion on things like Disco Inferno and Buff Bagwell. I
love Don's energy, man. Don's the best. I love
He
seeing
is
him.
literally like a little energetic
Absolutely.
crack baby, and I love every second of it. Like when I first met him, I was like taken back because I had no idea he knew who I was at all. I didn't realize that like Joe had mentioned me, and like, so I literally like turned into a little scared turtle because his energy, I couldn't match that.
Don is what I would refer to as an actual crazy person, but in a good way.
Yeah.
But in a good way. It's good.
Like he
it's
doesn't
good,
need the straight jacket or the medication. He's just
He's
a lively, happy, crazy person.
Yeah. When you bring up one of those squares, he is chaotic good. That is his energy. Is chaotic good.
Trying to see how much money I
chaos.
have on this slow jar.
So,
You
Brad,
put
wanna
your
plug,
own money in.
Plug the Stepdads here.
Yeah,
So,
might
yeah.
as well. Now that we're all way over here. As far as Stepdad's social media, we have a ton of it, but you can look up all of it at Stepdads Wrestling, all one word. Please do not put up anything between Stepdads and wrestling ever. Don't do that. It's a terrible idea. Put at Stepdads Wrestling, and you'll find on Twitter, Stepdads Wrestle. You'll find it on Instagram. You'll find it on YouTube. You'll find it on Facebook. I mean, we have so many options.
Patreon.
TikTok. Yeah, as well as a Patreon where we put up our podcast, we put up interviews, upcoming stuff like t-shirt designs. We always post them there for our patrons.
Old backyard wrestling footage.
Yeah, if you ever want to see the Rad Dad and Papa Bear in old backyard wrestling matches against tons of people, Sonny Kiss, Alex Zane, these people, Tony Deppen, they all pop up here and there. These are big deal guys that we are friends with that we knew back in these days. Those are all on Patreon. As far as
Joe calls it.
Yeah.
Joe the other day goes, Patreon's like the not OnlyFans, the non-sexual OnlyFans. And I started laughing because I had no idea. Like I watch YouTube and I know some of my favorite YouTubers have Patreon. I'm like, what the heck is a Patreon?
Yeah.
And he goes like, it's a non-sexualized OnlyFans. Yeah. I was like, oh.
It originally started as a way to support like YouTubers like who maybe get demonetized like for their ads or like maybe like they're not making the money through ads or they're not making just to like throw an extra. Like I think ours are like it's like $1 a month or like $3 a month if anyone's interested. Like it's not a ton.
Yeah. I don't think you can give more than $10 a month. We don't want everyone's money, you know. We just really appreciate the support and we like to give little hints to people who are interested. Yeah. There's even really stuff on there that's free. So if you guys ever jump on there, not everything's locked. Some of it is free to just check out. Because it means a lot to us that guys like Joey just care enough to even make a sign to even cheer for us at all. We've had especially early on, we had a lot of shows where people did not understand what we were, why we were there. They weren't the nicest people in the world, and we still remember that. So it means the world to us.
By still remember it, he means I think about it every fucking day. And I know that's the swear jar, but like the kid started it and I never will not think of it. The 10-year-old who called me a cuck to my face, the first fan I ever went to high five. I think about it every day of my life. I wish that kid nothing but the worst in his future.
So make sure, it's for like they said, you can find all the Stepdad stuff as Rad Dad said all over Stepdads Wrestle. Don't type in anything other than Stepdads Wrestling or anything. It's Stepdads Wrestle because if you do, it might take you
one word. One word. If you do 2 words, we are not liable for whatever weird, like step sibling things you might see.
There you go. Make sure it's one word. Stepdads Wrestle. No underscore. No dash. Just Stepdads Wrestle. All one word.
Yeah, you probably end up with someone else's OnlyFans. You don't want that. You know what I mean?
No.
Oh God.
You don't want OnlyFans. You want Only Dads.
That should be your next shirt.
No OnlyFans, only dads.
Oh,
That would be great.
Rad Dad, Papa Bear, thank you so much for joining me and Kelsey on the Rising Star podcast. Appreciate the time that you guys have on there. Remember not to touch the Stepdads thermostat. Ever.
Ever.
Ever. You never touch another man's thermostat.
No.
Thank you all for watching this episode of the Rising Star Pod. Make sure you drop a subscribe to us.
Hit that like button.
Hit that like button, that subscribe
Smash
button.
that subscribe button.
Make sure to like us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. Follow us on Instagram. Follow the Stepdads on their respective Instagram. I mean, on Wade's Instagram, on the official Stepdad stuff on his Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snap. I don't know if there's a Snapchat, a TikTok, and all that other stuff.
Hey.
Thank you for enjoying this episode. I hope you enjoyed
Snap me
this.
if you want. I'm snappable.
You can snap. Wait.
Snap into
Thank
it.
you all.
Big Dad's single. Feel free to snap it up.
Thank you all so much for coming out.